Welcome back, everybody, to the 2019 Portland Video Game Regional Championships, Pokemon Video Game Regional Championships. My name is Dweeha. Joining me at the desk again is my good friend, Len Duel. We're ready now to jump into round 2 here of the VGC tournament, and it's going to be...
It's a good match.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, right?
Your smart money's on the line.
My smart money is on the line right now, and of course, I know that Len will not let it go for the rest of the day if I am incorrect.
That's right.
It's going to be Raghav Malaviya versus Yuki Zaninovich. Both players, pretty strong players. Raghav is always a contender. He is constantly at the World Championships. Yuki last year made it to day 2 of the World Championships on stream, at the official stream, actually. So it's going to be an exciting match between these two.
Yeah, Raghav, one of NorCal's finest. Always does well up there. One of your local players.
He is. He's from the NorCal area, so obviously, I've seen him play, and I see him win all the locals and stuff like that. I know Yuki's very strong up in the Pacific Northwest. Made the short trek down here from Seattle to compete, and I think he's doing pretty well at the locals up there.
Yeah.
He just came back from Japan, playing locals in Japan.
Oh,
I know.
Got some international experience. Got a little bit of that Japanese metagame injected into the post-Worlds metagame. Nobody really sees what happens from Japan after that. So Yuki doing some training under waterfalls, as we used to refer it to. That's right.
Back in the day. So we have the teams in front of us. Let's just go over the matchup right now. Raghav using Rayquaza, Tapu Koko, Kyogre, Incineroar, Metagross, and Amoonguss. Yuki using Groudon, Xerneas, Gengar, Kommo-o, and Crobat, and Amoonguss. Yeah,
so Kommo-o going to probably get a chance to hit the field here. Not too many fairies on Raghav's side to worry about. No Xerneas to try to negate that big Z move, get all those boosts. So I think Kommo-o Gengar is a pretty good position there for Yuki.
Yeah. Everybody knows, this is going to be tough. Yep. I like Metagross, though. Metagross is cool.
Yeah, Metagross obviously is a great matchup here. Doesn't have to worry too much about things like the clanging scales from Kommo-o. Good answer for the Xerneas. Of course, there's the Groudon on the other side, the Gengar on the other side, so it's not like Metagross is going to just always sit on the field comfortably, but definitely a tool that Raghav will need to use well. Both players with the Amoonguss. If Raghav... There's no Tapu Koko on Yuki's side, so if Raghav doesn't bring it himself, no electric terrain, it'll be free sporing for Amoonguss. We saw how valuable that spore can be. Renee didn't quite win the game off of it, but...
It gave him a lot of momentum, just being able to put things to sleep.
Just negating turns for your opponent so easily.
Yep, and here we now jumping into official team preview as both players now are ready to get underway. We've already mentioned the teams here, so... Yeah, Kommo-o making a big showing. A lot of players are very comfortable with Kommo-o with that Clanger Soul Blaze attack. Being able to set up a
quick walk-in from Yuki there.
Absolutely, Yuki knows what he wants to do. Again, this is a team that he's very comfortable with. He made it to day 2 of the World Championships with, so he must know how to match up against a Rayquaza Kyogre team just like that.
Yeah, the Metagross not throwing enough of a wrench in to give him too much pause there, and he's ready to go. Meanwhile, Raghav taking a little more time to think about, how he handles the Kommo-o, how he handles the Crobat, the Gengar.
Yep.
Figuring out what his best tools are, and now we kick it off.
Raghav does have one slight advantage, though. This is a reused team, so maybe Raghav knows about the team, and maybe Raghav, in his team-building phase, was able to kind of think about what could possibly go into a Kommo-o matchup. And
knowledge can be important, because there's a lot of Pokemon on Yuki's team whose movesets are really unpredictable. You never know exactly what Gengar has. You never know exactly what 4 moves Kommo-o has. Crobat's got some flexibility. And so if you know some of those pieces already, things definitely simplify.
Yep. Coming now into the leads, Crobat and Gengar over on Yuki's side, as Kyogre and Tapu Koko leads for Raghav, bringing that electric terrain just to be able to possibly prevent spores from being able to hit the field.
Well, and just providing a valuable source of damage, right? I mean,
Yep.
he sees it immediately match up against the Crobat and the Gengar. Great things for it to be up against. You do, of course, have to worry about a speed type that is max speed, Mega Gengar on the other side, but otherwise, Tapu Koko sitting comfortably, ready to Volt Switch to something. Has to worry about something like the Groudon coming in. It's definitely back there somewhere, but still a good, clean position for Tapu Koko to come in. Crobat can't like what it sees.
Yeah, it does not want to take a powerful electric terrain boosted attack right off the bat from that Tapu Koko. Gengar, we saw in the previous round how important it was just to be able to prevent the amount of pivoting that can actually happen.
One thing Raghav needs to be careful of here, if it is Groudon in the back and Shadow Tag turns on here, these are a really bad pair to get locked in with Shadow Tag versus that Groudon. So he's got to be kind of on his toes here that's not how this next couple turns plays out.
Yes, Tapu Koko does have access to Volt Switch, which would be able to allow...
But not into the Groudon, and so Gengar can just protect itself and fire off a Precipice Blades. That's bad news.
Yeah, as Gengar Mega Evolves, protecting itself here, doesn't want to take a possible Z move from that Tapu Koko, as Tapu Koko uses Electro Web, slowing things down just a little bit here, dealing super effective damage to that Crobat. Electric Terrain boosted does good amount for just, its priority being to slow things down, as Crobat uses Brave Bird here, lands into that Tapu Koko slot, dealing very minimal damage there, maybe expecting a switch to come in onto that side of the field, as Kyogre goes straight for the Water Spout, boosted by that rain. Full health. This is going to do some huge damage to that Crobat, if not get the KO, and does get the KO from that range.
Yeah, probably expecting a Volt Switch into the Crobat spot that would have put out good damage, not gotten the slowdown, and then put something else in that Tapu Koko slot that would have taken more from that Brave Bird. Instead, we just get kind of the trade there of a little bit of Brave Bird damage for all of Crobat.
Yeah, so Crobat...
But the thing it does is it puts Groudon right on the field. This is not that bad for Yuki to kind of get the free fake U-turn Volt Switch of a Pokemon getting knocked out, if that is the direction he wants to go. Of course, Gengar couldn't protect, and so it would have to probably just give up a Volt Switch, but and that could mean Rayquaza coming onto the field, so things aren't super clean, and so yeah, it's Xerneas instead.
Xerneas takes the field here. Yeah, so no Groudon just yet. Could possibly... No, but then you're going to break that lock, so not...
I mean, you could create a pretty safe Geomancy by getting Gengar into Groudon now, but instead it's just a Sludge Bomb, getting rid of Tapu Koko.
Oh
no, that Assault Vest, letting it hang on until that poison will take it down.
Yeah, so that poison going to KO that Tapu Koko by the end of the turn. And here's a Nature's Madness connecting onto that Xerneas, dealing 50% damage right there to that Xerneas off the bat, as Xerneas uses Moonblast, targets down into that Kyogre slot, chipping it away, but Kyogre now will be able to go for another Water Spout. Not as much damage because it is damage. Connects with both Pokemon. Xerneas gets KO'd from that range, and Gengar takes a lot of damage, so Yuki taking a lot of damage as Tapu Koko faints.
Yeah, you can't imagine he was willing to give up Xerneas there. That wasn't an expected outcome of that turn for sure. I think if he gets the KO, maybe thinks that Water Spout is weaker than it is after that Moonblast, does opt for the Moonblast over the Geomancy, mainly for the goal of weakening the Water Spout, I think. Instead, just gives up Xerneas without even letting it get its boosts. Now Rayquaza comes in. Means that Groudon, that's forced onto the field now because it's already 2 KOs on Yuki's side, comes out into a really poor position for itself. There's a lot to ask Gengar to do to bail Groudon out of this spot. Yeah,
so, wow, Groudon reverts, but... that Rayquaza with that airlock ability, and of course can easily just Mega Evolve to negate all weather for the rest of the game as well with the Delta Stream. So great position right now for Raghav. 3-2, Gengar heavily damaged. That Gengar really didn't do much, but it is good information for...
if Groudon is faster, Kyogre did take enough that maybe something like a Precipice Blades is a KO. That could be a path back into this game for Yuki.
Yep, and... Rayquaza Mega Evolves this turn. The Delta Stream will activate and weaken super effective damage to flying types out on the field. So Rayquaza possibly protected from Stone Edge or
Icy
Rock
Wind.
Slide or an Icy Wind. Won't take as much here, as Groudon over on Yuki's side protects itself because it does not want to, get hit here with a Kyogre attack.
These poisons coming in clutch.
Yeah, onto that Rayquaza, as Rayquaza uses Dragon Ascent here
into Gengar for the KO.
So it's going to get the KO onto that Gengar. No Intimidate from Yuki's side of the field. Actually, yeah, there's no Intimidate on Yuki's side of the field, which is actually interesting for team composition in this format. But Gengar gets knocked out, and Rayquaza's defenses drop here as Kyogre uses Origin Pulse, hits into that Groudon Protect. So, yeah, tough positioning right now for Yuki.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is lost. Yuki's got to be looking on to game 2 and the rest of the match. He's got to figure out a way to not give up so much quickly. I mean, Crobat went down accomplishing almost nothing on the first turn. Then Xerneas went down again, accomplishing almost nothing. He got a Moonblast out of one and a Brave Bird out of the other.
Yeah.
Both of those Pokemon are going to be more... he's going to need way more out of them to have a chance in this match.
Yeah, and Yuki forfeits right there. Does not want to reveal what set that Groudon is.
Yeah, he's going to need to also make more use of Groudon during the time where he has flexibility, right? Groudon does not work against Kyogre or Rayquaza if it is the last Pokemon, and it's just forced on the field with no ability to retreat, no ability to time when it comes in. And that's what giving up those 2 quick KOs did to Yuki. He's got to find positions where it comes in, actually finds a turn where it can negate something Kyogre does, maybe forces Rayquaza to not go into the Mega Rayquaza because he's got to worry about the Groudon still in the back negating the strong winds, and really pivot off of that Harsh Sun, despite Rayquaza being able to cancel it, make the best use of it he can in the matchup in order to stop all that momentum that Kyogre has, because we saw Kyogre just kind of set safely, forced a Moonblast when it should have been a Geomancy if it wasn't so much damage about to come out from Kyogre, and got most of the KOs there.
Yeah, so Yuki chose his team very quickly, but now spending as much time as he possibly can to try to adjust to, what just played out in Game 1. I mean, Raghav so dominant, despite the fact that usually a Mega Gengar team will make you play so much differently. Raghav was just fine.
It's tough. You have to imagine Yuki's played plenty of games against Rayquaza Kyogre previously, of course, one of the biggest archetypes in the format.
Going into Worlds, too.
You start looking at his team and the things he would love to have against that Kyogre, the Amoonguss, the kommo-o, the Groudon. Rayquaza is really a good answer for all of it. He's probably means there's a lot of pressure on Xerneas to get a boost with timing that kind of answers the Rayquaza, and then allows the rest of the team to play next to Xerneas without the threat of that Rayquaza constantly.
Wow. Here we go now, jumping into Game 2. Yuki trying to force Game 3 right now, as Yuki leads Gengar and Crobat on Raghav's side, the Kyogre and the Tapu Koko. So is this going to play out differently? Yuki wants it to play out differently. Raghav, if it plays out the same, he's going to be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I think, obviously, Yuki's probably not going to just give up the free KO on Crobat. Again, I still think there's a lot to be gained if you can get these two locked in with Shadow Tag, assuming that you can protect Gengar on the turn. That was the problem in the last game, right? That even though you had Shadow Tag and Groudon in, could have had Groudon in, Koko would have been free to just Volt Switch out. So you've got to, even once you set up that field position, have to also have Protect available on Gengar. But if you don't protect this turn to try to get there, you just risk losing Gengar straight away.
Yeah, and, Gengar, speed Pokemon,
we saw it move before the Tapu Koko.
Yeah.
We've also seen the Assault Vest in Tapu Koko, probably a bulkier Tapu Koko that's going to be a consistent thing. Like Gengar's able to move first, threaten those big Sludge Bombs, but not quite big enough, like we saw.
Yeah, and even then, that was with some Brave Bird chip damage. So you need to find a way to be able to get some. It's 2 hits, but you're taking so much damage, or you're getting your speeds dropped with this Electro Web right here. Tapu Koko moves first. Electro Webs both Crobat and Gengar as Gengar moves now, uses Sludge Bomb, hits into that Kyogre, gets another Poison. I think it's 100% on Poison so far, as Crobat over on Yuki's side uses Tailwind to try to get a speed advantage and negate that Electro Web negative effect.
But this is huge. This is going to be 2 KOs, isn't it?
Yeah. Big damage right there. Connects with both Crobat and Gengar. So, double critical hit, too.
Wow, yeah, tries to just slip that turn from Gengar by, get the Sludge Bomb off. If that maybe had been a Water Spout, he could have weakened it enough. But I think just with the Sludge Bomb, probably even that wouldn't have been enough. And so just gives up 2 KOs here. And again, Groudon's going to be forced onto the field because of 2 KOs with, an easy answer from Rayquaza.
Yeah, with Rayquaza in the back as well. Tough position right now. Yuki sends in the final 2 Pokemon. It's going to be Kommo-o and Groudon.
Now, this is
different.
This is good. The Kommo-o helps with the easy Rayquaza switch, right? If that's the direction you go, of just, I'm going to bring in Rayquaza and let Kyogre go after Groudon, then you are bringing in Rayquaza into Clanger Assault Blaze, you're giving it away, and you're giving all those boosts to Kommo-o, who won't take much damage from a not rain boosted because of the Airlock, Origin Pulse, or Water Spout or something.
Will still fail if that Rayquaza gets knocked out. So
yeah, depending on the speeds of the Pokemon, if the Rayquaza can go down first, then obviously Groudon is much safer.
Can also protect Groudon here just in case that you don't want to play that kind of game depending on the speeds. So there's options still for Yuki. Again, this is a big adjustment from Yuki with the Kommo-o, just to be able to have a check to that Groudon or to that Rayquaza over on Raghav's side. Yeah,
I mean he picked it over the Xerneas, right? So he's basically saying Xerneas had too much pressure on it to actually answer the Rayquaza. There were Metagross to worry about, there was Tapu Koko and Kyogre to worry about, and so I feel more comfortable with the Kommo sitting in the back, ready to fire off that Clanger Soul Blaze, but now we see the Metagross.
Groudon just straight into the Earth Power, connects onto that Tapu Koko.
Tailwind.
That Assault Vest is important.
Huge.
Survives with 8 hit points, and here is a Z move. It's going to be the Clanger Soul Blaze. So that Tailwind from Crobat is very important, allowing that Groudon to be able to outspeed.
But the Assault Vest coming in, so I mean,
sorry.
You've got to expect Dazzling Gleam is coming next, right? That Earth Power is meant to cover it, but didn't get the KO, just like the Sludge Bomb didn't get the KO in the last game. The Assault Vest helping Tapu Koko hang on just barely and get these really important attacks off. Here's
a Clanger Soul Blaze from that Kommo-o, going to boost all of its stats by 1 stage. Such a beautiful Z move right there. Not much damage dealt, but again, the important part is getting those boosts. So, Kommo-o set up now. Going to try to help save Yuki's 1-0 record, as it looks like it's going to be Skydrop from Tapu Koko, so maybe not having Dazzling Gleam as Kommo-o goes up into the sky.
Yeah, and the Skydrop, that'll work too, right? It's difficult here because what you'd like to do is have Skydrop land, you've canceled the Kommo-o attack, and then have Metagross go after the Kommo-o after it lands. But between now and then, Groudon's going to attack and threaten a massive Earth Power against that Metagross that the Metagross shouldn't be able to take. Won't outspeed because of the Tailwind, and so you're probably just going to be forced to protect Metagross here and get really very, very little out of the Skydrop. You're not Skydropping for damage, you're Skydropping for positioning and for letting your partner get safe attacks off, which is not going to be the position here.
Yeah, so here Metagross forced to protect, doesn't want to take that Earth Power, as you've already mentioned, as Groudon does use Earth Power into that Metagross protect, and here comes Tapu Koko Skydropping, releasing Kommo-o, does some damage to it, even though it's super effective, but most importantly took Kommo-o off the field for 1 turn. So now, the next turn, Yuki's still in pretty good position, Tailwind's still up, will still be able to go for some attacks.
And the speed boost still from the Tailwind out there, and making this, fairly comfortable for Yuki. Obviously still down 2-4, still has to deal with the Kyogre at some point. It's going to be hard to find the damage against it. But things are not, hope is not lost.
there's hope. Yeah, there's always hope. Metagross using Bullet Punch.
Just a little bit more chip.
Hitting into that Kommo-o. That does not that much damage as Kommo-o reveals Substitute, so now it's going to be hiding. Has to break that Substitute somehow as Groudon reveals Eruption, and that's a way to clear the field right there for Yuki, getting the KO on top of Koko and that Metagross. Yeah,
just calling that Kyogre would not come in there, that these 2 Pokemon were just going to be sacked, and instead of just taking the free sacked Pokemon, attacking with both and picking up 2 KOs before they move, claims even more out of the turn, managing to get the Substitute and both KOs and set himself up for now these 2 restricted Pokemon hitting the field and putting a lot of pressure back on Yuki's side.
Yep, Rayquaza takes the field as well as Kyogre. Kyogre has already taken a Sludge Bomb and is poisoned, taking chip damage at the end of the turn, so now Kyogre in favorable position, will be able to go for water-type attacks against that Groudon. Kommo-o hiding behind that Substitute will...
The Substitute's massive, though. Yeah. I mean, 1 Clanger Scales is going to take down Rayquaza. That Poison's actually huge here, right?
Yeah.
That extra bit of chip could be enough to help kommo-o actually finish off this Kyogre, the Groudon may just kind of be an accessory here. All you need is this kommo-o.
Yep, Delta Stream is taking effect here as Rayquaza Mega Evolves. Again, it's not going to matter. Depending on, again, what that Groudon knows, kommo-o tend to not carry moves that are super effective against flying types, as Kyogre protects itself here, not wanting to get the KO on that Groudon yet, as Clanging Scales from kommo-o now connects with that Rayquaza, dealing some big damage. How bulky is this Mega Rayquaza, as it
not
is
enough
for the KO? So now it's down to Kyogre versus kommo-o hiding behind that substitute. So that substitute was so key, as you've already mentioned, Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it would have been fine even without it, right? You wouldn't expect Kyogre to be able to win this from this position, even with no substitute. But it was really just enough to make kommo-o such a potent threat. Has the boost, has the health bar, has the substitute. All that is a problem for Kyogre.
Yeah, so looks like Yuki does have what it takes to force Game 3 right now. So close to just forcing Game 3. Clanging Scales hits into that Kyogre slot, and Groudon should be able to finish it up from here.
I really thought...
Not enough to get the KO at that range, though, but Groudon will be able to just go right in as Groudon reveals that it's going to be faster than the Kyogre.
I really thought the critical point there was going to be when Tapu Koko survived that Earth Power, got a chance to threaten something back onto the kommo-o, but what turned out to be the critical thing was that Tapu Koko had no real answer for the kommo-o. It sky dropped, which could have been really valuable if you had something like the Rayquaza in there that could have not been one-hit KO'd by Groudon. Just allow the sky drop to land, then Dragon Ascent, you've solved the kommo-o problem. Yeah. But instead, it's that Metagross who was under too much threat from Groudon to even make a move. So it just protects, turns that what could be the game-winning sky drop into a little bit of chip damage, follows up with a little bit more bullet punch chip damage, and goes down, giving up a substitute, right? From that position of the boosts are up and kommo-o's in the air, Yuki's position actually got better before he got the 2 KOs. He didn't give up almost anything and got a substitute.
Yeah. And that Metagross didn't do anything. It was just kind of just sitting there, and it got off one bullet punch.
But what did that was Yuki's decision to leave Xerneas back, right? Yeah. If that had been Xerneas next to the Groudon, then the Metagross would have been crucial. But then it ends up being kommo-o, which, still at first it seems okay. The Clanger Soul Blaze does pretty little damage because Metagross is bulky, steel type, but it doesn't have that same offensive threat back that it would have had against the Xerneas. And the kommo-o is able to much more quickly move through Raghav's team.
Yeah, so now Raghav has to make some decisions here, how to adjust and deal with that kommo-o. Tapu Koko most likely not going to be carrying Dazzling Gleam since it opted for that Sky Drop that turn instead.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen Nature's Madness, Electro Web, and Sky Drop. I don't think we've actually seen the Volt Switch yet, but that is Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko's a Volt Switch machine, so you have to assume it's there. So no Dazzling Gleam, and that really changes things, right? We talked before the match started that kommo-o seemed valuable, but the best answer for it was at Tapu Koko. Mm-hmm. Turns out Tapu Koko has no answer for it. The best thing it can probably do is Nature Madness to clear some of the health bar, or Electro Web to get rid of the speed boost. And that really changes the outlook for kommo-o, because then you start looking around Raghav's team, and there's some good sources of damage, but no sources of... you have Metagross that can take attacks, you have Rayquaza that can do damage, but you have no Pokemon that combines those two things.
Yep, and here we go, jumping into Game 3. Winner of this moves on to 2-0, as Raghav makes some adjustments here, switching that Kyogre lead for an Incineroar lead, as Crobat and Gengar are the same leads for Yuki here.
Yeah, Yuki comfortable with these, even though they've kind of gone terribly wrong every time so far, right? He won that last game despite giving up both of these Pokemon for a Sludge Bomb and a Tailwind. The Tailwind ended up being really important, so maybe he's fine with that exchange of 2 down for Tailwind and some crucial chip onto Kyogre. But you got to imagine he's looking for more out of it. Third tries the charm for Gengar and Crobat.
Yep. Probably expecting another Tailwind and Gengar to Mega Evolve, setting up that Shadow Tag ability. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah, Kyogre not being led for the first time here, I think is pretty comfortable for the Crobat and Gengar. It doesn't have the same kind of game-winning potential of Shadow Tagging Kyogre in. And you've got to be a little more careful with Gengar, but I think there's easier positions to pivot to here because you don't have to worry about massive water spouts coming out.
Yep, Gengar protecting here does not want to take a possible malicious Moonsault or even get its speed reduced by Electro Web. So Electro Web connects on to the Crobat. Again, good damage right there, boosted by the terrain, as well as, most importantly, dropping the speed as Crobat goes for the Tailwind. Just trying to set up speed advantage for the next 3 turns. Darkest Lariat from Incineroar connects on to the Gengar.
Yeah, Yuki likes what he got out of that Tailwind in the last game, and so goes right back to it, gets it set up again. But he's going to have less of it this time because he doesn't just immediately lose 2 Pokemon and put kommo-o on the field under the Tailwind. Now it's going to have a couple turns of this, which is still kind of a problem for Gengar, right? It'd love to go for a Sludge Bomb, but we know that's not actually a KO, and you're just opening yourself up to Incineroar, and you don't really have a way. Maybe Sludge Bomb plus like Z Flying from Crobat could be a KO Incineroar, but we don't even see an attempt at it.
Sludge Bomb connects with that Tapu Koko, does big damage, and here's a Super Fang from that Crobat, hits into that Incineroar, 50% damage right there as Tapu Koko reveals its last move. Going to be that Volt Switch, pivoting out of that Mega Gengar, well, by hitting that Mega Gengar. So one way to beat Shadow Tag, just Volt Switch, which Tapu Koko is a Volt Switch machine according to Lynn here, as Metagross takes the field. So Metagross does have not too bad of a matchup here. Here's the Darkest Lariat from that Incineroar. Hits and crashes into that Gengar, gets the KO from that range, so Shadow Tag doesn't even matter at this point anymore. But Metagross, it's a very offensive Pokemon, just covering the ground in case that Xerneas is still around.
Yeah, just a great double target there, right? Gengar had protected, it was vulnerable. Yuki has too much value in the back to make any risky switches, and so Gengar just goes down, and Crobat is really kind of outliving its welcome here, right? You've got the Tailwind, you're not getting a ton of value out of, Super Fangs are nice, but you're burning turns of Tailwind for Super Fangs you could have had anyway.
Yeah, and Raghav's not going to have both of his restrictions in the back, probably realizing that was not going to be a good duo in case that kommo-o takes field, and here is the kommo-o, speaking of.
But Ryogre, I think, is a pretty rare combination to leave one in the back, especially against Groudon, right? Probably it means I'd say it's hard to say. Like, the Rayquaza is the better on its own if you're worried about the Groudon, but is very vulnerable to just Clangorous Soul Blaze goes up and you lose to kommo-o once again. But if it's that Kyogre, then Groudon is a really easy trump card now that Yuki has seen what the 4 Pokemon are on Arga's side.
Yep, Metagross,
the other 3.
Mega Evolving this turn, so no Mega Rayquaza in the back for Raghav. Could possibly still be that normal Rayquaza as Tapu Koko takes the field. And here is the Clangorous Soul Blaze from that kommo-o. Getting those boosts again, not going to deal damage to that Tapu Koko. Minimal damage to that Metagross. So Raghav doing a great job trying to mitigate the amount of damage that this Clangorous Soul Blaze does. But again, the scary part is kommo-o is just going to become a monster with its boosts.
Yeah, but I think kommo-o is not the point of focus now, right? I think you're right that the Mega Evolution of Metagross reveals that it's not Rayquaza hiding in the back. It is Kyogre, which means that Groudon, assuming it's somewhere here, becomes really crucial.
Yep, there it is, the not very effective damage, but again, kommo-o getting boosts in each stat. So that's one great thing about kommo-o. It just has a very easy setup move. Here's Crobat with a Super Fang hitting into that Tapu Koko. 16 whole damage, 50% of its hit points at that range. And actually, a Meteor Mash connects onto that kommo-o. No boost for that Metagross. And kommo-o is a very physically defensive Pokemon, and with that defense boost, it doesn't do that much damage at all.
Yeah, it doesn't take too much damage there, but it's still not, Yeah,
it's not super.
It's not really threatening this field, right? And nothing is. You can get more Super Fangs off. Maybe Super Fang plus some coverage move is enough to get down the Metagross. But really, I think Yuki's got to be aiming to get Groudon on the field as fast as possible so that it plays with a partner, right? If your way to win this game is Groudon, you don't want to be Groudon 1v4. You want to be Groudon with a little bit of assistance. And I don't think you want to avoid just losing this Pokemon for minor trades. Even if you get a KO or get even 2 KOs, you don't want to leave Groudon in a position all by itself.
Yeah, and that Tailwind is expiring as well. Metagross protects itself. Doesn't want to take a Super Fang or possibly... Oh, there it is. A Focus Blast from that kommo-o would have easily gotten the KO at this range. Brave Bird from that Crobat connects onto that Tapu Koko. It's going to be the KO. it has nothing remaining on it, but kommo-o did its best. A critical hit, gravy damage on top right there as Tapu Koko faints and is sent back to Raghav as the Tailwind finally peters out.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, going to be important because remember, quite a few turns ago, Crobat took that Electro Web,
yeah.
so it's slower than the Metagross here. Metagross is something like Ice Punch. It can prevent a Super Fang coming out, which, Incineroar is at enough health. You then are going to be forced to Focus Blast it if you can't expect the Super Fang. And I never want to click the Focus Blast button. I don't know about you.
Well, you have received a Focus Blast surprise before that you survived at the North American International Championships, and Incineroar provides Fake Out support. Will be able to allow Metagross to at least move this turn. So, great switch from Raghav to make sure that the Incineroar is helping out the Mega Metagross.
Yeah, I mean, something like a Fake Out on kommo-o and an Ice Punch is nice, but I think, just like we were talking about, Yuki wanted to avoid Groudon being all by itself. I think on Raghav's side, you kind of want to avoid just KOing Crobat, right? You don't want to have to fight the Groudon and the kommo-o at the same time. So I think Crobat is doing little enough here. Even if the KO is easy, you don't take it yet.
Yeah, you can also just go for the Fake Out on to the kommo, but again, kommo can just protect too.
But at the same time, if you can deny the Tailwind here, right? If you can just outspeed and KO before the Tailwind comes up, that's going to be huge for dealing with the Groudon.
Yeah, so you got to pick your poison here. As Metagross uses Meteor Mash, hits into that Crobat slot. It is not enough to get the KO, and Crobat gets up the Tailwind. So this might be the worst possible outcome for Yuki. Not doubling up into that, not hitting into that kommo-o to get some more damage out onto the kommo-o.
Yeah,
targeting down that Crobat.
The worst outcome for Raghav.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you spin the attack into Crobat, the less valuable target, and you don't deny the Tailwind. Now I think Yuki has some fun plays with, let's just Brave Bird, get some damage and get Crobat back off the field if he wants it gone, right? Like, he has kind of a way to choose when Groudon comes in with a couple turns of Tailwind left, with kommo-o still offering a lot of threat.
Yeah, so Focus Blast is the option that kommo-o has to deal some big damage out onto the field against that Metagross. Crobat just going to switch out instead, going to switch Groudon in, preserve that Crobat for later on, maybe save it for a possible Tailwind in the future.
Yeah, Groudon, probably a pretty safe switch here, right?
Yeah.
Metagross and Incineroar are not threatening it too much.
Yeah, and Groudon reverts primally. Again, that harsh sunlight. There's still one more Pokemon hiding in the back for Raghav's side. That's going to be huge to determine what Raghav has to be able to combat everything here right now. As Metagross uses Bullet Punch, connects into what was that Crobat slot, trying to get the KO from that point. But again, safe switch right there. And there's a Focus Blast. Incineroar avoids it, and here is the malicious Moonsault from Raghav's Incineroar here.
Yeah,
this is trying to get some damage out on the field.
Well, this is huge because if he can, I imagine it must be into kommo-o unless he's predicting the Crobat switch. Yeah. Into kommo-o. That preserving Crobat, I think, may be really crucial because Groudon was forced on the field before what we think is the Kyogre in the back, right? So it's going to need a chance to get off the field again so it can take away that rain. And when you're looking at it that way, that Focus Blast miss is huge because this was your chance to get a KO, force Kyogre out, pivot back to Crobat, and then let Groudon come in and take the weather advantage. Now you've got to find that KO soon because Raghav's probably not going to just send in Kyogre for you and give you that opportunity. Or if he does and you haven't taken the KO yet, it can always just go back into the back.
It's all about timing. Timing is very important for these matches. You don't want to be a turn too early or a turn too late in any situation.
Yeah, these Ultra Series matches with these primals,
big
one turn earlier or later when your Pokemon is forced onto the field entirely changes the scenario.
Yep, as Metagross force protect itself, needs to try to solve this Tailwind so that the Metagross can have an advantage as Focus Blast from kommo-o connects onto that Incineroar, super effective damage, easy KO from that range. So now that's going to force Kyogre.
What we think is
Kyogre out onto the field. Groudon uses Earth Power in that Metagross Protect, so I think you need like 2 more Protects to be able to stall out the Tailwind for sure.
Yeah, I think that Focus Blast needed to hit, but then I think it put Yuki in a really strong position because he had the 2 outspeed, threaten KO attacks with Focus Blast and Earth Power, put the Earth Power into the Metagross, and then relied on Focus Blast to hit, which it does, and brings out this primal Kyogre.
Yep. Yeah. A double Protect would be what Raghav might fish for, just to preserve that Metagross for...
Well, but I think I mean, you're double protecting against what? Because likely the Groudon just immediately switches here, right? You don't risk losing the opportunity to reset the weather.
You're right.
And so I think Raghav has to try to take advantage of this turn where he can, hopefully get both of these KOs, right? If you're going to have to deal with Kyogre versus Groudon in the sun, you don't want to be having to fight anything else. And so I think he needs to get the kommo-o off the field, but he's likely going to have to give up a Clanging Scales into Kyogre or a Focus Blast into Metagross. That's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, so Yuki does have options for a big attack here. No switches as kommo-o protects itself. Groudon follows suit as well. Metagross protects itself. Groudon just goes straight for the Earth Power.
Just like you said.
Yep, goes straight for the Earth Power into that Metagross, gets the KO from that range, sacrificing this Groudon essentially, but it does get the big KO onto the Mega Metagross as Kyogre uses Water Spout. KOs the Groudon, and there's still one more turn of Tailwind. A Super Fang from that Crobat's going to be very big too from Yuki's side.
Yeah, but the kommo-o is going to
go first, yeah.
Have we seen the move next? We haven't seen it since the Electro Web. There's a chance there that the Crobat is first. Obviously, that would be huge to Super Fang. But even if it's a Brave Bird, we now have a single target. But that Kyogre is so healthy. And one Water Spout, one Origin Pulse. Maybe kommo-o can survive it. Does have the boost, does have that resistance. There's a lot of close damage calculations here. Game really in the air. Not necessarily up to the player's decisions, but up to just how those health bars move and how these Pokemon are trained.
Yeah, it's this is close here. Raghav putting all the marbles into this Kyogre. Yuki putting all the marbles into the Crobat, and kommo-o here as Clanging Scales from kommo-o goes first. Hits into that Kyogre slot. Does not even 50% as it drops the defense. And Super Fang here Kyogre dodges it. And here's an Origin Pulse from Raghav's Kyogre. KOs the Crobat, and wow, that Super Fang was big. That Super Fang miss was big.
Yeah, I don't understand why it was Super Fang. I mean, I guess hoping that Super Fang, even after the Clanging Scales, because Yuki's got to know which of his two Pokemon are faster. So even after putting it to 60% here, making Super Fang a 30% damage, that's better than the Brave Bird.
Yep, here's another Clanging Scales, hits into that Kyogre slot, and Kyogre hangs on. No critical hit right there as Kyogre uses Ice Beam to just seal the deal here, and Raghav Malaviya moves on to 2-0. Yuki so close.
So close, but that 19 damage, that could have been a Brave Bird.
Yeah, that could have been a Brave Bird. Wow. Yeah, hate to see it. You hate to see it. Wow. Well played. Well played by both players.
Yeah, really close match down the stretch. Yuki opts to trade that Groudon for the Metagross, kind of reset the field to just Kyogre versus kommo-o, and the damage is just barely not in his favor. Those damage calculations so close, and the Clanging Scales was not enough.
19 hit points.
19. From full health, 2 hits down to 19 hit points.
Wow. Again, you hate to see it, but, maybe was worried about the single target if Crobat had KO'd itself.
Yeah, that increases the Origin Pulse damage. Might have made the difference.
Might have just straight up KO'd the kommo-o at that point too. So
yeah.
And
Super Fang would have obviously done the 19 damage too. So
it would have done about 50 there. Yeah.
So
it was a safe play.
Miss.
It was a safe play. So wow, that was tough to see. But well played set from both players. Raghav, My Smart Money, moves to 2-0. Yuki drops to 1-1. He still has a chance to make it to the top cut. Has to win out the rest of his matches to be able to, secure his spot in top cut. Of course, X and 2s, 5 and 2s have a chance to make it to the top cut as well. Yeah. Gengar Crobat leads all 3 times. Yuki was very comfortable with that matchup.
I don't feel like he got much out of it in any of the 3 games, though. The kommo-o did a lot of work.
The kommo-o did a lot
in
of
game
work.
2 and 3, but Gengar, and the Tailwind was obviously crucial to that. So you can look at the Crobat as being very valuable, just as that Tailwind button. But
when you're using one of your restricted Pokemon, Groudon, who is a big threat in this format, just to be able to get 1 KO on a Metagross that's not even really threatening you, that's kind of not the best position to be in.
Mm-hmm.
There's more action to come here from the 2019 Portland Regional Championships. That was only round 2. We still have more rounds to come today.
So much more Pokemon to play.
So much more Ultra Series to play. Stay tuned. We'll be right back